Welcome to the Heart-Centered Entrepreneur Podcast. I want you to be rich. Yes, I want abundant financial success for your business. But I don't just care about your business making money. I care about you too. I want you to be rich in happiness, in the impact you make, in your relationships, and in how you give back. I'm Anna. I built my six-figure business as a side hustle while I was pregnant with my daughter in 2016. Now I've helped dozens of women do the same. I'm here to help you build a profitable, heart-centered, fully booked business with the latest tips on sales and visibility, with proven mindset hacks, and sneak peeks behind the scenes with what's working right now in the online space and in my business. Ready to make more money with heart? Let's go. This is going to be a raw one. Let's talk about rejection, shame. I know I did a podcast recently on failure, but I feel like this one is a little bit different than I'm feeling called to do. Recently, I was in just a short relationship with someone and it ended, and I wasn't the one that ended it ultimately. And this for me, I haven't taken the risk to love very much in my life. I haven't dated very much, but most of the time I end it with the other person. And so having the other person end it with me was so interesting, especially because one of my kids right now, we're working a lot on shame and really believing what's the difference between embarrassment and I made a mistake versus there's something wrong with me, and what it means when someone says no to us. And I just wanted to talk about this because it's so fresh and I feel it in my chest. And I'm someone, I think all women typically struggle with enoughness, worthiness, shame stuff, or safety, security. And I'm someone in general who tends to be more confident and generally struggles with, am I safe more than am I enough? But this is a time in my life where the enoughness is flaring up. So I'm like, oh my God, I have to share this on the podcast for the girlies that is their anthem. It really is a struggle with worthiness and enoughness and feeling rejected, feeling that. And I am feeling that so strong this week. I'm telling you, I sobbed on my mat at Yoga Sculpt in the back corner in the dark, drooling, talking to my therapist, wow, and this even comes in business, right? For me, I'm really used to women saying no to me on sales calls, and I still make tons of money every month, right? But I remember in the beginning of my business, it did sting a lot, and I was very attached when I was on a sales call with someone. If they said no, I was like, oh, did I do something wrong? There's something wrong with me, versus maybe there's not a match, right? Same thing with when someone unsubscribed from my list, it was oh my God, sent me spiraling, right? Instead of no, if you have a list of 100 people, right? Only 40 people are going to open the email. Only 10 people are going to click it, right? Only 5 are going to sign up for a discovery call. Only 2 of those people are going to say yes, right? Hearing no and getting rejected and having these micro failures, I just think is so a part of life. But anytime it's new, it stings a little bit more. And here's the other thing. When we care about something, it stings more. And one of my friends reminded me, Anna, this doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means you did something right. I'm someone that very hesitantly puts my heart out there. But in this tiny little relationship, I really did put my heart out there. I was messy. I was imperfect. And so I think it stings even more when you put your heart on the line. And this might mean you're launching a program and you're so passionate about this program. You put it out there and then no one buys it, right? Or you do this reel, you spend a lot of time on it, you say something maybe controversial or that you're nervous about, and then no one comments on it. I feel like online business is just such a form of continual rejection because we are being a leader. We are putting ourselves out there, right? If we're wanting people to hire us, it's almost like a one-way dating stream where we're letting them get to know our heart and seeing if they resonate with that and want to buy from someone like us. So just wanted to share just some of the practical things that I'm feeling in my body this week. And that is just I remember also, you guys, the second month in business, I was doing a launch and I remember feeling the same way. I remember sobbing in the shower when my launch wasn't going like I wanted and just feeling I suck and just overthinking everything and just retracing in the launch, what if I did this or what if I did that, or just feeling we need to pretzel around. And I think what I've been reminding myself this week is just what if you're not doing anything wrong? What if this is just part of the process? One of my friends reminded me too, at every little step in the journey, you're learning something, you're learning a lesson, you're changing, you're bringing something away from that. And it really helped me to like write down like what are the lessons I'm learning here. I see this with women in launches all the time where like a launch will quote fail and then they're like kind of like go hiding for 3 months, right? Or they put out a piece of content and maybe it doesn't get traction and then they don't post for a long time. And I really think what I find is that failures are the biggest catalyst possible for growth. And maybe I'm speaking to myself and hoping that I can find a successful relationship next, but I really find in business that as women, I remember one of my clients did this whole launch, something she was super passionate about. No one signed up. We were able to really like look at the data and not take it personal. We knew she was an amazing person. She was an amazing service provider, but something was off. And so we changed up her message. We changed up her niche a little bit. And literally a week later, she sold like 4 client spaces. And I have seen this happen time and time again. Those failures are a catalyst. If we cannot internalize the shame, if we cannot be like, oh my God, there's something wrong with me, but instead like, okay, either it didn't work out, this is just part of the numbers game, or there's something for me to learn here. I think it's a little bit of both. I think it is a little bit about like, not every launch is going to be perfect. Not every discovery call is going to be a yes. But I also think it is about, can we be introspective? And I try to look at my client when they come to me. And if they're already someone that's introspective, if they're already someone that's picking themselves apart, if they're already someone that's like rewatching their sales calls and magnifying glassing it, like then stop doing that, right? And really just look at the data and take it less personal. But for some of my clients, I'm like, have you thought about going back and reading that sales email and seeing how we can improve it, right? If you're doing no introspection at all, start introspecting. If you're already introspecting yourself to a fault, I really encourage my clients, like, no, don't go back and listen to your podcast and feel like you have to over edit them. Like, stop. And so maybe even check in with yourself right now and put your hand on your heart. Am I in a chapter of over introspecting? Am I reading professional development books to a fault? Am I continually in this learning mode? Am I continually looking for something wrong with me? There's always something we can fix, right? But I think it's so important that we take breaks from our self-improvement, that we are at some point being like, I am enough. And yes, I want to get better, but the people that end up wanting to be in my life, whether it's romantically or as a client, are also going to accept me for who I am and my quirks. For example, as a coach, I'm kind of like a fast talker, right? I'm someone who swears a little bit. And so some people, I may not be that for them, and that's okay, right? But that's why it's so useful to be transparent in your marketing, because maybe you like hear me talking passionately on my podcast, right? Maybe you hear me swearing a little bit on my podcast. So I think it's this fine balance between, yes, changing who we are and always becoming better, but also knowing the people that are meant for us are going to accept us as we are. And part of it is just keep going, continuing to go past that rejection, past that defeat, past the shame, past the embarrassment. Oh my gosh. I felt so embarrassed. I felt so embarrassed with how much I put myself out there. And I hear women say this online in business all the time, like, oh my God, I did that webinar and I feel so embarrassed, right? Like, I think as heart-centered women, like we're not just like doing a coaching service, but we're also marketing ourselves and getting visible. And getting visible, I mean, research shows us that public speaking is a bigger fear for people than death. It really is. It's so interesting, right? That public speaking or any form of exposure of sharing, like, even if you aren't on a lot of my clients like aren't on social media a ton, but even if you are a little bit, right? And sharing your heart, your face, your voice, your story, your beliefs, all of those things are so personal, especially if you grew up in a home or culture where it wasn't safe to be seen and heard. And I also feel like for me, I've changed my beliefs a lot in the last few years, And so I think it's just important to be like, it's safe for me to show up as I am. I don't have to be perfect. I can be enough. It's safe for me to be embarrassed. It's safe for me to make a mistake. My coach Lacey says this amazing phrase, which is, I don't always get it right, but I always make it right. And that's one of the most beautiful things she could have told me at the start of my business, because I care a lot about my clients getting a lot of results, having a good experience, and like customer service, like to a T. And I think that's great. Most heart-centered women are that way, but I think that can also go too far in that we're like overly careful in what we're saying or doing. And we're like trying to keep our client happy instead of like, no, I'm just going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear right now. And I love this idea of like, I don't always get it right, but I can make it right. I've definitely gone back and like apologized to a client, or maybe I sent the wrong email and I let my list load. Like, I think it's when people don't like us, it's usually not because we did something imperfect, but it's because, in a work scenario, like someone didn't make it right with us. When there was a mistake, they didn't work to try to prevent it again. And I think like online business is more like relationship than we think. I've been thinking about this a lot recently too. And as I've been encouraging my clients to, I think in 2025, there's just so much more AI. And I'm a big fan of like, I did an episode on AI recently on how I really feel like heart-centered entrepreneurs need to pull back on AI in a lot of ways. I should link that in the show notes. And really using it, yes, for editing your work, but not necessarily for authoring your original content, because ultimately I think that's going to like shoot you in the foot and keep you from connecting with the people that are actually going to be dream clients of yours. And that's the goal of marketing, that people that aren't a fit would be turned off by your marketing and people that are a fit will be turned on by it and really want to connect with you, right? Anyway, where was I going with that? Okay, I lost my own thought. I had to rewind my podcast. Okay, the point I wanted to make is that in 2025, I think what's working for marketing and signing dream clients is just a little bit different. And that is treating it even more like a relationship than ever before, which for heart-centered women, like this is good news. Whenever I read like bro marketing books on like how to close sales, how to market, it's like pretend to care about people, remember people's names, like all the things that like we're just authentically good salespeople and marketers. Like, hand on your heart, I just wish I could like put my hands over your cheeks and tell you, my love, to be good at sales and marketing and make a lot of money online, you just have to be yourself. But we have to release all the conditioning around that, because heart-centered entrepreneurs, we care, we're good listeners, we're compassionate. All those things are great for sales and marketing, right? Okay, anyway, I've really been thinking about this concept of like what a healthy relationship needs to thrive, whether it's a romantic relationship, a parent-child relationship, a friendship, a client, a potential client relationship. And I really feel like all relationships need both stability and novelty. And for me, I'm a very, very stable business owner. Like in the last 10 years of my business, I have a lot of clients that have been repeat clients. I have marketed consistently every week. Like I'm a fairly stable person. So that's something I don't really have to work on, right? I'm a little bit boring in a good way. Like that's what makes my clients get good results is I show up for them. Like, I'm there thick and thin. I don't not show, like I am there. The other day, the police knocked on my door because one of my neighbors had something small that happened. And I told my client on Zoom, I have to pause this for a minute. I'm so sorry. She's worked with me for a year. She's like, Anna, I don't think you've ever missed a session or paused a session. I told the policeman at the door, you've got 2 minutes. I've got a client huddle. He's like, okay. But it's like, I am very consistent. So for me, something I like to throw into my business is novelty, right? And making sure I'm making things exciting for my audience, doing a giveaway, right? Even though I resisted it for a long time, after 6 years, I redid my mastermind. Change is hard for me, but oh my God, it's going so good. It filled up so well. And I'm in love with the new message, the marketing, the organization, the new elements in the program. Like once change clicks in, I'm like, oh my gosh, I should have done this before, right? But change can be hard for me, but I really find that my audience responds well to fresh energy, new things, and change. So I'm always having to remind myself as an entrepreneur, Anna, it's safe to change things. It's safe to create new. Some of my clients are the opposite. They are chasing shiny objects. They have 17 programs, 17 freebies. We really simplify for them to get to 6 figures, right? Because I think an audience, when you're too chaotic online, an audience can sense that and it doesn't feel stable to buy from you. So that's something I've been thinking to recently too, is like, how are you showing up in your energy? Is it stable? Is it chaotic? And how can you balance that out? Okay, I know this was a little bit of a mishmash, but I just want to come in here while it was fresh and say, if you are in a season of feeling any of those hard, uncomfortable emotions, whether it is shame, embarrassment, fear, rejection, like those are normal life emotions. But I feel like in entrepreneurship, the faster you are going and making, like the more you're just going to experience those emotions. And I just want to normalize that. It's not fun. It's uncomfortable, but also it's safe for you to do it, because in business, we experience all those things in day jobs too, right? But someone else is profiting off of us. Like if we can feel shame and a rejection and blah, 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 and make multi-6 figures a year, like why the hell not? You know what I mean? And so it's like, I think as ambitious women, we can't avoid that. We can't avoid the pain. Like I told my kids the other day, like life is 50% good and 50% hard. Like we're going to have hard things happen, but that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with us, right? It's normal to hear no, but don't don't make that let you give up. Keep going and keep processing it. For me, I love yoga sculpt. Like I love an intense workout. I love a therapy session. I love holding space for my clients as they're going through their hard things in the mastermind. I really encourage them. We talk mostly about business strategy, but if something hard and intense is going on in their life, and trust me, my clients have gone through the most hard and intense things you can name. Very, very serious illnesses, very, very hard family situations. And I think it's safe for you to bring that in, whether it's a divorce, whether it's a diagnosis, right? Like you are a whole person, and having spaces where you don't have to hide that, where you can bring that in, where it's normalized and you're not made wrong for that, I think is so, so important. Okay, here's a small exercise that you can do for something that maybe you're feeling a little stickiness around. Maybe it's something recent, maybe it's something from the past. Maybe it's a rejection, maybe it's a failure, maybe it's a regret, maybe it's debt, right? Like something that feels hard and dark and heavy and sticky. And while we don't want to dwell on the past and while we don't want to like make our whole life be stuck in the past, I think sometimes like ignoring the past actually makes it bigger and heavier than it needs to be. So I want you to, whatever it is that comes to mind, I don't want you to make it wrong. Maybe it's something you processed before, maybe it's something you've never processed, but give yourself permission to write about it. I love my daily check-in. I'll share it in the show notes for this purpose. Part of the daily check-in, the first section of that is pour it out. And I just write what's on my heart. I just write what's on my mind without filters. And to be honest, since I process on a Google Doc and I'm kind of like a safety freak, like a lot of times I'll write something and I'll just delete it off the page because it doesn't even feel safe to keep on my Google Doc. Like that's wild, right? But like it's safe for you to get it out of your head and out of your heart. And that's not going to make it worse or more true. That's going to give you a little freedom then to know, do I share this with a therapist? Do I share this with a coach? Or did I just need to see myself around it, that this was hard and this sucked and it doesn't matter? Like to other people, one of my favorite things about sharing wins every week in the mastermind is women write things that are big wins. Like I signed a client, I had my first 10K month, but they also write something like I posted online on social media and I haven't done that in like 2 months. Right? Like things that like to the outside world, it's like, what? That's not a big deal. But to us, because of our history, because of hard things that have happened before, because of like these little micro wins are a big deal. And so give yourself permission to process whatever human emotion you're feeling. Lately, I've been listening to on audiobook. I've almost finished it. Brene Brown's Atlas of the Heart. It's interesting because I bought the book and I just wasn't really into it. But then I was listening to it on audiobook. It's free on Spotify, by the way. And I was really enjoying that. And she talks about all these different emotions specifically and dives deep into them. And so that might be useful for you too. If you're feeling a specific emotion like jealousy or fear, and just listening to that 3-minute clip of her talking deeper about the emotion, I think is just so useful to kind of get a little bit of that release and that opposite of avoidance, right? Really presence and acceptance and accepting like, I have a little quiet corner in my bedroom, a little cushion that I sit on and I read my affirmation cards and sometimes my books. And it's just my feeling corner. It's my safe space to feel. And it's so fun to see my kids use my quiet corner now too. But just creating spaces for yourself where it's safe to feel shame and embarrassment and all the hard things that happen when we're doing brave shit, right? When we're, my other best friend, I was talking to her on the phone and I was like, oh my God, like just, it feels like I'm doing so many wrong things. And she really framed it for me as like, Anna, you're doing so many new things, right? You're really growing and changing rapidly. Like this in the big picture is a good thing, even though on the inside, when we're risking, when we're growing, when we're changing, it doesn't feel good. Sending you the biggest hug and thank you so much for being in the community.
Thanks for hanging out today. Please hit that subscribe button so you can make sure to stay updated anytime a new episode drops. And I would love for you to join me in my free Facebook community. It's called The Heart-Centered Entrepreneur. We discuss the podcast episodes. I regularly go live and do free trainings. And you may even meet your newest biz bestie. So you can join at heartcenteredcommunity.com. It's absolutely free and I cannot wait to see you in there.